welcome to Mind Your Business, a channel where we are in everybody's business. If you don't mind getting in people's business, you're on the right channel. Talking about current topics and gossip. Now, that cliffhanger of Tisha and Kiki going back and forth, it didn't quite land the way that, I think Tisha had hoped. Because I feel like Tisha felt she had some tea that she was blasting out, and it just was like a balloon deflating. Anyway, welcome to support my inquisitive crew. Let's talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville Reunion Part 2. So yes, we left on the cliffhanger. We thought Tisha had some tea, talking about basically they have both Kiki and her husband have cheated on each other. And Kiki was like, yes, and I said, rotted. Kiki said, I'm owning my stuff. It is what it is. Yes, we have both done, basically had our indiscretions. Both of us have had that going on. So I was like, oh, okay, well, she's owning that. I don't think she's necessarily afraid to be sharing that information. Then Tisha tries to come with this, oh, well, you even paid for him to go out on a date with another woman. And then we get the story, and it's like, it's 18 years ago. He asked her for some money. And then later on, she realised that he used the money that he asked her for to take someone out on a date. And this was 18 years ago. And so even Mel and Martell were like, oh, is that it? Kind of thing. I was just like, Tisha, this isn't going to plan. It's not going to plan the way you planned it to go. Not at all. You got Maurice trying to, say, stop bringing people's names. It was just a whole hot mess. Them two just going back and forth. But what made me laugh, though, was when we moved on from that. Because Tisha really wasn't, interested in addressing the rumour whatsoever. She kept deflecting from that. So it made me laugh when Carlos decided to ask Kimmy and Mel, if they feel like Tisha is in denial about, what Kiki's basically been saying. And she just doesn't want to hear it. Mel and Kimmy were both just like, Kimmy, you go. Mel was like, Kimmy, you go. Kimmy's like, Mel, you go. It was like a little ping pong. Oh, who should go? Then a little pause of silence. And then Kimmy said, okay, right, no. She thinks he's over it and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, yeah, your kind of sister-in-law mode hat came in, and it was like, you have to see them on a regular and you can't be keeping that mix up, so you had to keep it cute. That made me laugh. It was very, very awkward indeed. And then you've got Mel with her part as well, where she says that she took a deep breath before answering and just saying essentially it's a lot when you're married to someone for a number of years, you've got children, you need proof before you can walk away, essentially. So, she feels like she's waiting for concrete evidence. So I feel like Mel answered it in the most diplomatic way that she could without being like, there's something going on with those rumours. It just made me laugh. And Kimmy, like I said, she stayed in her, I'm part of the family. I'm going to have to see her on a Sunday. We've got to be eating chicken and looking across the table at each other. I'm going to have to keep this cute. That's what I got anyway. I found it a bit annoying the way the narrative was around Kiki and her drug taking, and the fact that everyone kept asking her, insinuating that she's on drugs. Well, not everyone, mostly, Tisha and Marceau, and also Carlos. Carlos kept asking her, were you clean? Are you this? Are you that? I'm like, what the hell? Do you want to put her on a lie detector and, make her piss in front of you right now? Like, what's going on here? I felt like she was about to take the test right there. I just thought you're doing a lot here. You're doing a lot. And then, of course, Marceau's in the background talking about, oh, well, maybe someone else gave her a piss because, Carlos is asking about how come, you said that you're on methadone. It didn't show up in the test. Like, you guys are not chemists, guys. You guys are not pharmacists. You guys don't know. Like, leave it to the people to do that, the right people. I didn't really like that kind of line of questioning anyway. But Kiki was still owning it. She was very much like, I will take the test again, Anyway, they had them still going back and forth about the kind of incident that happened at the barbecue. And Kiki's saying that she was quite sober when she done that. So clearly she was just in her mode. She didn't really care. And I feel like she has owned that throughout. Then Carlos moves on to Martell and talking about how Martell's been and his journey has been on the show, and mentions him and Sheree. And Carlos asks Kimmy about her clocking, that she felt like, Sheree and Martell were kind of a business arrangement. And she said that when she first kind of clocked them together, that she felt like that's what it was giving. It wasn't really giving, affectionate or coupley kind of vibes to her. But he's saying, no, they're just friends, which made me laugh because clearly that's not necessarily the case, because Mel blasted out that, well, actually in the legal court papers, it says that you guys were in a business arrangement. So that cracked me up and didn't surprise me at all, because if you watch the two of them, it was like, yeah, you guys are giving it the big one, but it's not really giving as much. Yeah, it is giving, you both need each other. So I don't think anyone was surprised by that news. Now, they did show the Whitlows. They showed the whole situation with Martell and the Whitlows, as in Tiffany and her rude comments that she made about Sheree. So they brought that up, and of course Martell was involved in that situation. Then they talk about, Martell talks about her being a Karen, and Tiffany's talking about, she didn't know how to take it because it's coming from that side of the room, and she did grow up with her white family. So I'm thinking, yeah, well, this is probably why you have these Karenese traits, if the hat fits. And Marcel's talking about, well, mixed women can be Karens. So that just made me laugh. Carlos did make me laugh because he asks Martell with his messy self, why isn't he seeing Sheree anymore? He talks about he wants to refocus on himself. And he said, oh, that's interesting because, she said on her show she couldn't take the negative press. So obviously, we know it's a business arrangement. It is what it is. And obviously Carlos is saying, well, it's because you also still have feelings for your ex-wife. That is partly the reason why you can't seem to, be able to move on in a relationship with anybody else. He's trying to deny it, but of course Nell pipes up and says, yes, he told me he still loves her. And we all know that he still loves Nell, but he messed up. He messed up massively. And it's still messing up, apparently, because he was recently arrested on domestic violence charges for harassing his baby mother. So I'm going to cover that a bit later on in another video. But that in itself, it's like, Martell. Now, when he was talking to Martell about his life, he kept trying to say he's single, and all this kind of stuff. Messy Marcel, of course, is saying to him under his breath, like, don't forget about your relationship you're in, basically. What about your wife? And Carlos then clocks it and says, well, are you in a relationship with your baby's mother? And he says, no, he's not. Mel says some comments as well, say, well, yes, he is, basically. And Carlos asks, how does she know? And then she basically says that, her kids are around them and will obviously tell her that they're around this woman. So, of course, Carlos is being messy and asks, well, how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel a way about your children being around this woman? And she said that she goes into protective mode, knowing that this person who apparently adored her and her family setup worked her ass off to come between, her and her husband. And she obviously, with her husband, her ex-husband's help, not husband, ex-husband, with his help. So she said that, of course, and said certain things and spoke about her terribly around her children. Obviously, she ain't too happy about that, and I get that. So while she's trying to get her point across, Martell is shouting across her like some big kid, getting loud, talking about 11 babysitters and all this kind of bullshit story, as usual, trying to deflect. Now, it did make me laugh because once they're going back and forth about the babysitters and her, she's going to get her point out. He tries to say something about paperwork, so that's why Mel was like, you want to talk about paperwork? Well, in the paperwork that I saw, you and Sheree are in a business arrangement. That's in the paperwork too. Now, that had me cracking up. And Martell's getting up, storming off the stage, looking like a kid who's having a strop. He just got caught out and just got found out, stropped off, came back in with some paperwork. For what? Because it's just antics, because he didn't show it. Because Mel was quite adamant, chatting about, I will, post it because it's in the transcripts. I know exactly where it is, so let's talk about it. And he's just waffling. Didn't really get to the point of that bit. What surprised me, or what I found interesting, was when she said, you're so low, Martell, that you were using the court papers and trying to send it into blogs. And I just thought, oh my God, like, this man is ridiculous. He is absolutely ridiculous. Absolute mess. So yeah, Mel and Martell were definitely going at it. It was kind of, watching it, it was like, you can still see and hear the hurt on both sides. But it was given definitely toxic. And, we could tell that Martell is a lot to deal with just by watching him on the show. But what cracked me up was when she started yelling about how she beat his ass before. I said, no, not Melody talking about she beat Martell's ass. Woo, that did crack me up. Now, after that, Carlos went to go and speak to the Whitlows and spoke to Tiffany about, her postpartum depression. And, let her know that the door was going to always be open if, she wants to come back. I feel like, because Tiffany did go through postpartum depression, I feel like she got away with a lot of her mess that she created, because no one really had her feet to the fire about what she dealt with over the season, what she created. They kind of touched on the whole thing with, Martell and Sheree and her being messy in that situation. But she was messy in that situation. They didn't really show the kind of full confrontation that happened between Lou and Marcel at the house, kind of, when she created on the mix-up where, she tried to act like they were ambushing her, but she was actually the cause of the situation because she was saying too much. So because of that, I feel like she kind of got away from all that heat. There was no grilling around that, but I felt like there was more grilling around Kiki and her drug side of things. Again, I feel like that was Carlos showing his bias again, I said in last week's review that I feel like he was very biased towards Tisha in his questioning. And I feel like in the way he was questioning her about the drugs also seems quite biased as well. Then we move on to Stormy and her family. And, you know, I understand this situation. Stormy's mum is vexed with Mel and she thinks that she should have cleared up a mix-up with Stormy that was going on social media. So she feels like Mel should be checking the comments and she came back and cleared her name. Mel is going back and forth with the mum, but also trying to let her know, I don't really want to go back and forth with you. But the mum is just definitely arguing and getting into it with Mel. So I'm like, even Stormy's trying to calm down her mum, but obviously her mum was not even listening to that. And her mum's there taking shots at her, talking about, you know, you're still out here arguing with your man who divorced years ago. I was like, what is wrong with these messy mothers? Like, what is wrong with them? Let Stormy and Mel sort it out. They had their own conversation going on. Doesn't sound like Mel did it on purpose, is what she's saying. Maybe she's got a lot of messages coming through her phone. I mean, she has got a lot of followers. So maybe she could have sorted that out. And she said, you know, Stormy, you could have called me and said, you know, can you sort this out? There's a whole madness going on my page. So I feel like maybe there's that could have happened, rather than it snowballing it into this whole mix-up of now, you know, Stormy's mum is trying to beef her. Like, no, you've got your own stuff to sort out, so please, just allow it. Anyway, next week, it looks like it'll be interesting, because we'll hear a bit more from the Fletchers and get into them, because it looks like Carlos is going to be asking Nell about, you know, Chris's infidelity and what happened there. And then we're going to see Marcel saying some more wild shit to his wife. No changes there. But anyway, guys, what did you think of the episode? I just think Martell just get himself caught out, make himself look stupid. And that's not my point. He was shouting at Mel, talking about how, you know, she's trying to make him look bad on TV. What are you talking about? Everything that he's done is his own actions. So it's like, you know, that scene from my show, Blackish, you know, and Tracy is like pointing in the mirror. Yeah, that's for him. Yeah, you're doing it entirely too much. It's all you. It is all you. That's what I think about that. And before we go, let's check out some of these tweets about the show that did have me cracking up. Indeed. Okay, so you saw those. What did you think of those? And one of those was talking about the fact that Carlos is quite biased as a host. And I've been saying that most recently on these reunions. So what do you guys think? Do you think Carlos is biased and too close to it and should get somebody separate to do the hosting? Or are you happy with this current setup? Anyway, people, what do you think of the show? Let me know your thoughts below. Yes, so thanks for watching that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you know when I am uploading some more of people's business. So until then, my nosy people, stay blessed.